getting water to move smoothly through pipes, using less friction, whether it's shaping the pipes in the way that flow goes, or whether it's having very, very hydrophobic means water fearing. So not having water stick, very slippery. Think of it as super slippery. This is actually the lotus leaf, and it's a super hydrophobic surface. The drops on a lotus leaf, when you drop water on it, looks like mercury, drops of mercury dispersing. And what it's actually doing is a self-cleaning substance. So all the dirt particles kind of teeter on those bumps and then get picked up by the rolling rainwater drops. This has been put into many, many companies already. Stowe makes a paint where rainwater cleans the building. It's a building facade paint. Degasa makes a cement that's self-cleaning. Faro makes a self-cleaning glass. Ehrlich's makes a self-cleaning tile, all based on this super hydrophobic surface. But I think that has not been looked at for the insides of pipes, for instance. Pipes are leaking because of corrosion. That's what happened in BP in Alaska. That was caused by microbes. Microbes that are in a biofilm inside the pipe release acids that eat through the pipe. Keeping the inside of pipes free of bacteria, that's also something that you're going to see in the natural world. What in the natural world needs to keep its surface free of bacteria? Almost everything. This is a red algae that does a really good job. It does it not through killing the bacteria, but through interrupting their conversations. Because bacteria are always talking to each other. And what they do is they decide as a group to land on a surface and to form a biofilm and to start to release toxins. So that's where you get the superbugs in hospitals. They're the ones who have gotten together through what's called quorum sensing, inhabited a surface, created a biofilm to protect themselves, and then when you go to try to put antibiotics on them, you can't get to them. So you put more antibiotics, which causes resistance. So these technologies that organisms are teaching us of how to subtly manage bacteria by keeping your surface free of bacteria, repelling bacteria rather than killing it. This is a workaround so that you're not creating resistance, okay, by mass killing of bacteria. Energy and water is the first wave, but materials and manufacturing, when I say manufacturing, I mean green chemistry. This will be interesting. Let me tell you about some materials that'll help. Here's another very slippery material. This is the shark. You saw Michael Phelps in the Olympics. He was wearing a shark suit. They were all wearing that. Laser suit was inspired by sharks. And that's a close-up of the shark's skin. And in the way that it plays, again, with water, reducing turbulence, there's a company called Sharklet that's making a coating for boats that's based on this. And what it does is keep bacteria and algae and barnacles from settling. It's sort of a soft surface to make transport more efficient. Here's another one, really slippery material. This is a sand skink. So if you were in the Arabian Peninsula right now, and you saw a lizard on the surface of the sand, it would be very unusual because these lizards live under the sand and they swim under the sand. But when they come up, they're really glossy. And you say to yourself, how can that be? Because they're basically in a very extreme sandpapering regime all day long. Turns out they have a really, really strong coating. And again, this is keratin, it's what your hair is made out of, but there's a very special chemistry that makes it very, very resistant to degrading, but it also makes it really slippery. So slippery that the scientists in Germany who are studying it, they would like to make a material that does away with lubricants and does away with ball bearings. So imagine that wind turbine rotating without ball bearings because the surface of the rotor is actually smooth and slippery. And this is without Teflon. This is another really amazing material. This is ceramic. It's on the inside of abalone shells, and it's a layered structure, and that puff pastry thing that you see is something from Oklahoma State. It's a transparent plastic that's stronger than steel. The idea here, and tougher, twice as tough as our high-tech ceramics. So the idea here is car panels, lightweight, airplane fuselages, lightweight materials. It's another way of getting to the energy issue, is to create a lighter material to go through the air. This is another amazing thing in the natural world. It's one of those things that you see all the time, but you don't know what you're seeing. There are no pigments in the peacock or the butterfly. What it is transparent layers that are set up in such a way that light comes through, and it bounces through the layers, and it comes back to create that color to your eye. So you go a few inches over on a peacock, and it's blue here, but the layering is different over here, so it's yellow, or it's green, or it's gold. There's only brown as a pigment to make those colors pop. That structural color, what's called structural color, may be an entirely new way that we create color without painting. The first set of products that are coming out, there's a lot in the paint. Nissan has a car that uses this, and there's a fabric that uses this called Morphotex. But Qualcomm has just come out with displays that are based on these layered structures. So it's not backlit. In fact, sunlight creates the color to your eyes. Buildings, 40% of our energy use is in buildings. This is a building in Zimbabwe that's based on, that's a termite mound. And they looked at a local organism and said, how is that organism keeping its mound at 87 degrees Fahrenheit, no matter what temperature it is? And they put the same things inside the building, and there's no air conditioning in that building. It's in the middle of Zimbabwe, in Harare. This is Pure Bond, which is Columbia Forest Products. This is, if you buy hardwood plywood now in the United States, you'll be buying plywood that has a resin that's a mimic of how mussels attach themselves to the bottom of your boat. It's the first bio-inspired glue that's actually gone mainstream. Light into buildings. There's a lot of work going on in optics. On the left there, you've got the sea mouse, organism at the bottom of the ocean. It's got photosynthetic cells in it, and it needs light, and it pulls it down with these little fibers that are better than our photonic crystal fibers that are about $1 million a fiber to create, the photonic crystal fibers. On the bottom right there is a sponge, and the fibers there's a woman who used to work for AT&T, now she's at Harvard Bio-Inspired Engineering Center. Her name's Joanna Eisenberg. And she's been studying those. Those, again, are a model for fiber optics, except you can tie these in a knot. And they self-assemble out of seawater.